Okay, here we go. Let's just have a little bit of review on what we've done so far with magnets and coils and motors and things like that, okay? Before we go on. So first of all, we saw that some materials are ferromagnetic, and that means that they will be attracted to magnets. There you go, some materials are ferromagnetic, and there we are. Also, some materials are not ferromagnetic, so the pen is not attracted to the magnet. That's great. It turns out that there were 4 elements that were ferromagnetic. And of course, the main one was iron. Good. Iron's ferromagnetic. Nickel, cobalt, and gadolinium. So if you have something that's sticking to a magnet, it's going to have iron, nickel, cobalt, or gadolinium in it. And if it's not sticking to the magnet, it's not. Also, just because it's metal doesn't mean it's going to stick to a magnet. There are plenty of metals that are not these. As well, inside magnets, any permanent magnet is going to have iron, nickel, cobalt, or gadolinium in it to create a permanent magnet. So what we also know is that permanent magnets have a magnetic field surrounding them. So there are magnetic fields surrounding these, and then they attract other ferromagnetic materials. They also attract or repel other magnets. So north to south attracts, north to south attracts, north to north repels, and there we have it. So we did that. We did our thread sandwich, our string sandwich, and we hung the string sandwich, and we saw that it eventually started pointing towards the north so that we could use it like a compass, and we had a north side and a south side. It turns out that these magnets, they have a north side and a south side. So this face of this purple magnet is north, and if you take it apart, then this face is going to be south. North and south. It looks purple to me in real life, but I guess it's blue on the screen. Well, that's how it goes. So we're gonna need our string sandwich in a minute. So that's one thing we noticed, is that permanent magnets have a magnetic field around them. They can interact with other magnetic fields and do other things. We also found out that current in a wire or a loop of wire creates its own magnetic field. So we made some loops of wire, and then we hooked them up to some current. So here's my battery pack, and then if I just connect this and connect this, here's my loop of wire. Now that it has electricity through it, it creates its own magnetic field, and then this is going to hook up like that. So you can see that this permanent magnet is attracted to this magnetic field that the loop created. Let me give it a rest for a sec because that's getting really hot. And then I should also be able to hopefully attract something that's ferromagnetic, like a paper clip, to my coil once I hook this back up again. It got really hot pretty quickly. I'm using 2 batteries instead. So let's see if this is going to attract. Oh, not so much. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I can feel it. It's there. It's not that strong. What I really need is I need a nail inside of here, an iron core, to make it work. But I think that this is pretty obvious. The coil has a magnetic field. Okay. Well, it's a mess over here. Good. And let's look at the last thing I have written down here, is that current in a wire or a loop that's placed in an external field will experience a force. And of course, we did that by experimenting with this setup to make a motor. And here's my coil, properly de-shellacked. And if I have this magnetic field right here created by this magnet, if I pass current through this coil, then it's going to experience a force. And if I can time it just right, I can get it to spin around and around and around. And there it goes spinning. Hopefully you can see that it's spinning. It's kind of hard to see, but there you go. So this is current in a wire or a loop placed in an external magnetic field will experience a force, and you can get things to spin. And then we played around with commercially available motors. If I hook my motor up to a voltage source, get rid of this, we'll need you again in a little bit, then, oh yeah, well there it goes. So it's spinning around quite quickly. All right. And we also took apart these motors in class, and we saw that, yes, indeed, inside there are coils, There's coils in here, and then there's magnets inside of there, and I know they're magnets because something that's ferromagnetic will stick to them. So there we go. That's sort of the basics of what we've done so far, and then the next video is going to be about moving on and discovering some other very interesting properties. All right.